From being the world's weakest hunter to now being able to solo C-rank dungeon bosses, soon Jin Wu has come a long way. Where killing the weakest E-rank monsters like goblins used to be life-threatening for him, he can now kill a beast like the blue venom-fanged Kasaka without sustaining any mortal injuries. And even if he does, he won't have to end up in the hospital for weeks thanks to the system's status recovery. But all of the experience he has gathered so far in his life is going to be tested in episode 6, because as its title suggests, this is where the real hunt will begin. Episode 5 ended with Jin Wu gearing up to fight the giant arachnid Barura, after being trapped within the C-rank gate by Hwang Dong Su. So let's take a look at what is going to happen next, with this preview of Solo Leveling Episode 6. But before we do that, we have a small request. If you enjoy our content, please give this video a massive thumbs up, share it with your friends, and smash that subscribe button with the notification bell turned to all while you're at it. It helps us create the content that you love, and bring in more marvelous viewers like you. Jin Wu prepares for the fight of his life. Sort of. Jin Wu vs giant arachnid Barura. Like we mentioned in the intro, soon Jin Wu has come a long way since his days as the world's weakest hunter. He has not only survived an S-rank dungeon in the double dungeon incident, he has also cleared out an E-rank dungeon by himself, and when entering this C-rank dungeon with Huang Dong Su and his crew, he was confident he can handle things alone should anything go wrong with the raid. He was apprehensive of the lack of a healer on Dong Su's crew, but because he needed the money he was offering, Jin Wu thought better of it and went into the dungeon anyway. He was joined by 7 other members of Hwang's 5 in the anime and Yu Jin Ho, a bright-eyed, innocent-type D-rank hunter who clearly came from a lot of money, considering he was wearing such expensive armor. At first, things were pretty smoothly for the team, which was able to annihilate the monster ants that swarmed them from every direction within a few minutes. But then, when they reached the boss room for this particular dungeon, things changed dramatically. Jin Wu and Jin Ho were trapped within the boss room by the treacherous Hwang Dong Su and his men, and sure enough, the explosion woke up the absolute behemoth of a dungeon boss, giant arachnid Barura. Now here's the thing when it comes to dungeon bosses and power rankings in solo leveling. 2 different people can have the same rank, but still be relatively far apart on the power scale depending on what kind of mana output they have, their skills, etc. Jin Wu used to be the lowest of E-rank hunters, hence his previous reputation. Even amongst the S-rank hunters of this world, there is a power hierarchy, because a rank is power like a bracket than a fixed standard. And there are 5 hunters in this series that break this traditional mold of rankings because of their immense strength, which is why they're called nation-level hunters. This boss is a C-rank, just like Kasaka, but Jin Wu can instinctively feel it's much stronger than the serpent. With 8 limbs and so many eyes, it practically doesn't have a blind spot. Jin Wu's strength will be meaningless if he can't get a hit in, and though he did increase his agility in the last episode, he hasn't developed a skill that can help him bypass Barura's speed, yet. In episode 6, Jin Wu will gain a new ability which will allow him to blitz his opponents with blinding speed. That, combined with the Wolf Assassin title, which makes him 40% more powerful against magical beasts, should be enough to help him defeat the insect-type dungeon boss. But don't count Barura just yet. Remember those spider slayers from the Spider-Man animated series that could cut off Spidey's web-slinging and also spit acid? Well, just imagine Jin Wu as Spider-Man and you'll get what's gonna happen next episode. Though he would have probably liked to do it on his own terms, Jin Wu isn't gonna mind taking out a C-rank dungeon boss alone because it will just help him level up even further. But speaking of having to take on Barura by his lonesome, let's talk about the guy who got him here in the first place. He's constantly competing with his little brother, real reason behind Hwang Dong Su's betrayal. That story about Jin Wu being warned of lizards that lurk within the dungeons at the end of episode 5 is one that fits Hwang Dong Su perfectly. Because despite being a C-rank hunter with a pretty nifty personal skill, he chooses to live a life of crime to, get this, catch up to his younger brother. You must have noticed that someone in his crew brought up his brother and was quickly shushed by Dong Su's second-in-command. This is because Hwang Dong Su's brother is an S-rank hunter that works for one of the world's leading hunter guilds, the Scavenger Guild. Hwang dislikes the fact that his little brother is so much more powerful than him, which, being an elder brother, I can totally relate to. S-ranks are like needles in a haystack, so his brother's awakening must have been a big deal in his family. But what really seems to make him dislike his siblings so much is the fact that Hwang Dong Su joined an American guild to ply his trade instead of staying back in Korea. Hwang Dong Su appears to be a bit of a nationalist, and a lot of hypocrite as well, because he's chastising his brother for making money off his strength, while he uses his own to sabotage people and commit the dungeon equivalent of major crimes. Dong Su knows he can't compete with Dong Su in terms of power. Double awakenings are like trying to find a kernel of sand on a beach, and Dong Su could jump up to lower S rank at best, even if it were to happen to him. So he decides he will fight his brother on a battlefield where he could level the playing levels. Resources. Hwang Dongsu's money-making strategy has been pretty much the same one he uses with Jin Wu and Jin Ho. Find a couple of suckers to fill up the minimum dungeon entry requirement, get them killed in a dungeon mishap, and then clear out all the mana crystals, dead monster corpses, and every other resource they can find to keep for themselves. Dong Su and his second discuss whether they could take down that dungeon boss by their lonesome, and both answer in the negative, which just tells you that they've been running this play for a while now. Moreover, Dong Su is not a blind man. He could plainly tell Jin Ho's gear was too expensive for his rank, so he thought that even if the two were to die, they'd score some really sweet armor in the process. But just in case he didn't, Dong Su looked him up and discovered the mother of all honeypots. The kid's family was loaded. Turns out this innocent-looking brave D-ranker is the son of a big-shot business mogul, and keeping him alive would be a better option for Dong Su than getting him killed, considering the worth of the ransom alone. So he comes to the conclusion that if by a miracle the pair survives, he will have Yu Jin Ho kill Sung Jin Woo and then extort his daddy as well for good measure. In Dong Su's mind, this must have made him feel like Professor Moriarty or something, because you'll see just how pleased with himself he looks when he's calling all these plays in the next episode. It's just too sad for him then that he's the subject the episode is titled after. Why is episode 6 titled The Real Hunt Begins? What you can expect. A dungeon is as good as a dead zone when it comes to things like backup, contact with the outside world, surveillance. None of it matters a damn bit when you're literally stepping into another dimension. This is why people like Dong Su like to use the pretext of clearing dungeons to prey on people like Jin Ho and Jin Wu. Moreover, if they're people that possess morals, it makes it even more difficult for them to retaliate in an appropriate manner. Think about Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen, or at least his initial days as a sorcerer. Yuji had no problem killing cursed spirits, but when it came to killing Mahito's transfigured humans, he hesitated because at the end of the day, he was taking a human life. It took Yuji a lot of time and self-assurance to accept the fact that death of any kind was just part of his life, and Jin Wu will go through something similar in solo leveling, but not for too long. And that will be because of the system. Usually, the player of the system is only supposed to be concerned with fulfilling its objectives and anything else that can help them unlock more rewards so they can clear up more dungeons and then level up. Because everything related to dungeons comes from an alternate dimension, Jin Wu doesn't exactly feel any sort of guilt towards killing them. The only human being that seems to suffer consequences of the system's machinations is Jin Wu himself, because if he doesn't complete his daily tasks, he gets thrown into a penalty quest. If he does them twice over, he gets special rewards. Most of these actions are things under Jin Wu's prerogative, but there is one thing that he cannot control, and that is someone else's intention to kill him. As we've seen multiple times, the system is not just compatible with Jin Wu's thoughts, it also responds to his environment. So what do you think will happen when Jin Wu is faced with a very real threat to his life? Of course, the system will give him a quest, only this time, it will be an emergency, and failure to complete it won't result in Jin Wu fighting a centipede again, it would result in death. Whenever Jin Wu's life will be put in mortal danger, the system will force him to defend himself, regardless of the nature of his would-be killer. It's all a part of bringing his body to the closest level possible where the Shadow Monarch would then be able to take it over. But unlike Yuji, who struggled with the consequences of his actions because he had always known strength, Jin Wu will not face the same problem. He's known what being powerless feels like. He's felt it his whole life. Now the system will force him to become stronger by taking a life, and if that's what it took, then he was ready to do it. A hunter doesn't become a hunter because dungeons are safe places. That's what Jin Wu used to think. He now realizes that dungeons are dangerous places where the only rule is kill or be killed, and that applies to human beings as well. Soon Jin Wu will come to appreciate the weight of taking a human life, but also will be willing to take it anyway because in a place where only the fittest survive, there was no excuse to use morality to justify your cowardice. The reason the episode is titled The Real Hunt Begins is because Jin Wu will understand what it truly means to be a hunter and start acting accordingly. Marvelous verdict. So what do you guys think? Did you like this preview for episode 6? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep leveling up, guys.